know this video is going to get a lot of hate. Bring it on. But before we start this video, guys, I need to say something. Now, I know I do not control your actions. I am not a general in an army, nor am I a Jedi who uses the Force to mind control you from many miles away. No, I'm just a woman on the internet who you like to hear prattle on about whatever I feel like talking about. But do me a solid and don't go and harass this person I'm about to respond to. Now that I've said that, let's crack on.
Alright, let's do this. Hey guys, so in case you don't know, I am a feminist.
That much was obvious via the ukulele music.
Others on the internet have branded me as a social justice warrior, which I think is just really stupid, because SJW is just like, it's a tainted term now. And also, I don't think that fighting for social justice is a bad thing.
You do know that the term SJW was actually coined by, quote, my side, right? Your side took that term and ran with it. Which I'm not saying you shouldn't do, more power to you. And maybe it shows how much the term SJW has been used over the course of the past few years. Also, I also think that there's nothing wrong with fighting for social justice. Certain things are worth fighting for. The biggest one off the top of my head is Martin Luther King. He fought for black and white people to be treated equally, for black people not to sit at the back of the bus or drink from separate water fountains. Even Gandhi fought in his own way for civil rights about taxes and discrimination going on in India under the British rule. Yeah, not a high point in British history. But what you call social justice nowadays isn't social justice. What your side does is akin to shaming tactics. Your side shoves a particular narrative down people's throats and makes it the norm.
I care about things like racism and LGBT issues and politics. And that right there is honestly enough to make a large group of people just stop talking to me and pigeonhole me as some crazy woman who's never had any life experience and isn't educated on any topic and is therefore not worth listening to.
Honestly, Fiona, I'm 27 and I don't think I have enough life experience to draw from. But that's just my silly little opinion. But also that sort of thing could happen to anyone. You don't need to label yourself a feminist to be treated like that by some people. Personally, I'd rather get to know you as a person before I write you off completely. Your ideology, while one I don't agree with, is only a part of you as a person. What would make me write you off completely is if you make that one specific thing everything about yourself and constantly shove it in my face.
But that's not what I'm here to talk about. The echo chamber of the anti-SJW community can wait for another video.
Pot, meet kettle, and call it black. You say we're the ones putting ourselves in an echo chamber? You might want to look at yourself first. Heck, it's what you're doing right now. Shutting yourself off from any person who might not agree with you. It's more often feminists or SJWs that put themselves into echo chambers because they don't want to hear another opinion opposed to their own. Why do you think events like Berkeley happened? Some people didn't want another opinion to be spoke at the campus because it was the wrong opinion in their eyes. Do I think that no one on quote-unquote my side puts themselves in echo chambers? No, I'm sure there are some people that do. But they aren't any of the people that I know. But myself personally would talk to you. We might not agree on everything, but we might be able to come to a truce of some kind.
Instead, I'm going to talk about why I won't ever get along with the online community of anti-SJWs, anti-feminists, conservatives, whatever it may be.
Why do you lump us together and call us all conservatives? Some of us are moderates, some of us are centrists, and some of us are liberals, classic liberals and the like. I'm not a conservative.
Not all of them, of course, just the very prominent and vocal ones on YouTube.
So am I safe then? I'm a rather small channel compared to some, so would you be interested in talking with me?
It isn't to say that I'll never agree with any opinion that these people might have. I'm sure that I agree with anti-SJWs and conservatives on certain topics because people and movements aren't black and white. But, as a massive generalisation, here is why I will never get along with these groups of people. 1. I truthfully don't care enough to question somebody's identity, and I think it's pretty shitty if you do. If somebody comes up to me and is like, hi, I'm bi, pan, lesbian, gay, trans, whatever it may be, I just accept it.
Well, first off, if someone came up to me on the street, I would have to assume that something is wrong because my invisibility wouldn't be working. Other than that, I would do the same thing. I would say cool and leave it at that. What annoys me is when they shove it in my face. When people take that one thing about themselves, whether it be gender or sexuality, and make it everything about themselves, that is what annoys me. I may not agree with things like non-binary and gender fluidity being real, but I can look past that. But also to point out that some of us may question it because it seems to be something of a trend. One way for some people to stand out or feel special. Back in the 90s it was being emo and goth, nowadays it's being non-binary, gender fluid or otherkin.
Because I truthfully just don't have that much time or energy to put into other people's lives that I don't know. And even if a friend did come up to me and I'd known her and she'd been dating dudes for a year and she's like, hey, I'm a lesbian, I'd be like, cool, great.
I would be the same way. Again, I would say cool and hope they're happy. That's it. I don't go around telling people that because they prefer one set of genitals that they're bigoted.
I wouldn't be bothered enough to question it, and I certainly wouldn't be bothered enough to make like an entire campaign to like prove that they're not really a lesbian.
Are you saying we made a campaign to prove that Riley wasn't trans? Is that what you're getting at? There were reasons as to why we doubted Riley, one of them being that while in a video with Milo Stewart, Riley said that Riley didn't feel a lot of gender dysphoria, which is kind of a big thing for someone who is trans. There wasn't a campaign about it, people just pointed it out.
I wouldn't go out of my way to try and prove that they're faking it, convince everyone that they're lying, because one, the chances of them faking it are actually statistically very, very slim.
At the time of making this video, Fiona has taken down her video, so I can't check to see if she posted a study in the description, but I did try and search for it and I couldn't find anything. Hey, I'm an idiot, what do you expect?
Yeah, you can definitely argue that online it's quite cool or whatever to be queer, but the thing about saying things online is that they go into the real world, and in the real world, it still isn't cool to be queer. Also, if they turn out to not really be a lesbian and they're just experimenting and trying new things out, good for them. Good for them. Try things out. Get to know yourself. You do you, boo.
Well, you see, queer, is it a gender or sexuality? I can't keep up, is relatively new. So it's not surprising that many people are reluctant to accept it. I remember back when I was growing up, the word queer meant strange or weird. It didn't mean what you're saying it means today.
And finally, I'm just not a dickhead, and I don't think it's cool to see someone come out or live their lives as their true selves and question that and try and make people believe that they're not really that thing.
Fiona, not all of us are dickheads, as you put it. There are some of us that would gladly have a civil conversation with you, but the internet isn't a nice place. Some people have come at me saying that I'm fat or I should fuck off. I mean, they're not wrong about the fat part, because I am. But I've had my share, and so have many others.
It's just really pathetic and unkind. Pathetic and unkind. 2. I don't think that our change is done. A lot of conservatives will say that the left are just making things up and trying to cause drama for the sake of it.
Wash your ass. Need I say more?
But like, we're really not. There's still a lot of shit to do, and just because women can get jobs and black people are no longer enslaved doesn't mean that all of our work is done. Men are facing sky-high suicide rates because expressing emotions is unmanly.
I'm glad to see that you've brought up a men's issue, but it's one that is usually brought up by feminists, in which they source the problem is usually the patriarchy or toxic masculinity, when in actual fact men and women are different and they deal with stuff differently. Women tend to open up more when something tragic or horrible happens. Men tend to knuckle down and do things. Some people may say that this is to distract the mind, but maybe it's just how men cope. Am I saying we shouldn't get men to open up? No, because bottling things is what can lead to most suicides amongst men. When men feel like they can't reach out to anyone, who can they reach out to? Maybe the solution is having somewhere where men can feel comfortable, whether it be to open up or doing something like wood carving to keep their mind active instead of bottling things up. But on the other hand, feminists don't focus on men's issues. Feminists who say that they're all about equality tend to ignore these issues that men face. Family courts, divorce courts, workplace deaths, domestic violence against men, rape against men, the fact that under the law in the UK men can't get raped, the lack of shelters dedicated to men. If men try and seek out help, they get treated as if they're the criminal and not the victim. Feminists don't focus or even talk about these issues. If you're trying to say that they do, then show me evidence of feminists trying to help raise funds or help trying to get a shelter built dedicated to men. Show me evidence of feminists helping men.
Black people are being targeted by police at alarming rates.
While only making up 13% of the US population, black people commit half of the crime, but white people are more likely to be shot by the police.
Queer kids are being kicked out of home left, right and centre.
And that's terrible, but trying to thwart police society won't help that.
And women are being told that they deserve what they got when they said they've been raped because their clothing choices were revealed.
Show me proof that that has happened. Show me proof that a rape case has been thrown out because of what a woman was wearing. Women are more likely to be believed in a case of rape thanks to such things as the Hunting Grounds documentary and the 1 in 5 women get raped on a college campus statistic that goes around and constantly fluctuates. I can believe cops wanting to know what clothes a woman might have been wearing to see if they could get any forensic evidence off the clothing. But a case of rape wouldn't be thrown out of court simply because the woman happened to be wearing a miniskirt. You know what the problem is right now? False rape claims. False rape claims have been popping up like they're going out of fashion, with the biggest one being Emma Shulkowitz, aka Mattress Girl. The more recent one is of a woman accusing 15 men of raping her, ruining the lives of several of those men.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, and that's just in the West. Other parts of the world have it way worse.
So why aren't feminists focusing more of their efforts in areas of the world that do have it worse than the West?
The fight isn't nearly done, but a lot of conservatives feel that any attempt at change is an attack on their way of life and their traditional values.
I don't see it as an attack on traditional values, I see it more as misguided. You complain about non-issues like the patriarchy and the non-existent wage gap. You speak out against things that seem trivial, and that's the reason why we get annoyed. There are things that need to be changed, but the feminists would rather focus more on the most minute of issues and not look at the picture as a whole.
They seem to think that the world is falling apart because a trans girl wants to use a bathroom and someone put a trigger warning before a film. But
while the world may be falling apart at the moment, it's certainly not because trans people want to use a bathroom or trigger warnings before films. My stance on the bathroom situation is maybe there should be a bathroom that everyone can use. Gender neutral if you had to put a label on it, but all in all the bathroom subject is a touchy one. My problem with trigger warnings, however, is how silly they have become. I don't mind them being at the start of a film because they've always been there, telling people who might have epilepsy that there will be flashing lights and that there might be some sexual scenes in the film. I have no problem with that. My problem with trigger warnings is when they are being used in a classroom, allowing people to walk out of the class because they might be triggered by a subject or a naked statue. That's when it gets silly for me.
I see these as steps forward because I don't want to regress. I don't want to live in a world where fear and hatred are primary motivators for things and that all the work to do with social justice is done because our world is perfect. Spoiler, our world isn't perfect. And number 3, I like good debate and discussion and conversation.
You say that, but the text on your video just said that you won't debate somebody on a live stream. Why? Why won't you debate on a live stream? If you want to have a debate or a conversation, a live stream is a good way to go. And if you won't respond to an anti-SJW response video, how is that going to help the conversation? And before anyone says, no, Twitter is not a good place for a debate.
Now, I've never done a video response to somebody, but you can bet your bottom dollar that any political or social justice or topical video that I've done has been heavily inspired by content that I disagree with. But the crucial difference is, I like to argue points. I like to argue with facts. I don't like to debate by talking about someone's appearance or what they'd be like in bed or attacking someone's character.
Surprise, surprise. Neither do I. Those things never cross my mind when I do these response videos. What I focus on is the ideas that are being put across. I try to use facts in my videos, but most of the time, I'm using common sense because that's easier for me. The only time I have brought up how somebody looks is when I was responding to Anita Sarkeesian and she was talking about gender signifiers, saying how they are demeaning and sexist, while she was wearing the exact gender signifiers she was talking about.
To me, that just completely ruins your argument. If you need to rely on someone's skin colour or gender identity or how fuckable you think they are, then your argument just truly is weak.
I honestly do not care about skin colour, sexuality, gender, or how fuckable they might be. That never crosses my mind. Stop trying to label us as racist and sexist.
I know why they all do it. It's entertainment and it's just a joke and it's getting you clicks. You're profiting from harassment.
I don't tell any of my viewers or subscribers to go and harass anyone. I don't control them. The reason as to why I link the original video and show the video in mine is to give context to my opinions and arguments. That's not inciting harassment. Only recently have I started a Patreon, but that was because of the situation that was going on in my life where I needed to start one. Most of the money I get is from art commissions. People really like my art. I don't receive any money from YouTube.
I enjoy making decent original content that is made entirely by me and well-researched points, but if you can only make content by completely taking someone else's video and then adding your own voice over it, like, so be it. I just like making good stuff.
That wasn't patronising at all. Rude. Fiona, just because you don't like my content doesn't mean that others won't. In a way, that's saying that anyone who does a similar style to mine, it doesn't need to be anti-SJW in nature, it could be a My Little Pony review. You're saying that because we use clips from a film, TV show or a game and give our opinion on it, that's not good content? Look, I agree that the style of my videos isn't original. It's a style that has been done many times. But then again, neither is yours, Fiona. Your style looks like the many thousands of vlog-style videos that also populate YouTube. But then again, not many things are original these days.
Anyway, those are my main issues and why I won't ever get along with the anti-SJW community.
And with that, I'm ending the video. Fiona, if you ever change your mind, then I will talk to you. It's doubtful, I know. You may say that I'm inciting harassment by doing this video, but the invitation is still there. My only problem with this is that you say that the anti-SJW side is in an echo chamber themselves. I don't think you realise that you're doing the same thing by not engaging with the other side or someone who disagrees with you. I've said it once and I'll say it again. Debate is where one's ideas are challenged, where they are either strengthened or changed. We grow in understanding instead of remaining stagnant. That's the end of the video, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up or subscribe. If you want to support me further, there is a link to my Patreon down below. I hope you like the video, guys. Bye!